Israel ready to widen Gaza ground offensive. PM Israel is prepared to significantly widen its ground offensive against militants in the Gaza Strip, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said. He said the military was targeting the Hamas tunnel network, which it could not do only from the air. Thousands of troops moved into parts of Gaza on Thursday night, backed by tanks and artillery fire. Hamas, the Palestinian group that controls Gaza, has said Israel will pay a high price for the invasion. The Yolande Knell in Gaza City says Israeli aircraft and artillery have intensified strikes in the north, east and south of Gaza. Meanwhile, air raid sirens sounded in towns across southern Israel as rocket attacks from Gaza continued. At least 24 Palestinians and 1 Israeli soldier have been killed since the ground offensive began on Thursday, Gaza's health ministry said. The dead included 3 Palestinian children killed by Israeli tank fire in the north of Gaza, medics added. The Israel Defense Forces IDF say they struck more than 100 targets in Gaza overnight that included 20 missile launchers and 9 tunnels. The decision to send in troops came after 10 days of intensive rocket fire from militants in Gaza and airstrikes by Israel. Last night our forces began the ground operation to hit the terror tunnels crossing from Gaza into Israel's territory, Mr. Netanyahu told a special cabinet session broadcast live on television on Friday. It is not possible to deal with the tunnels only from the air. He added, my instructions are to prepare for the possibility of significantly widening the ground operation, and the military is preparing accordingly. Mr. Netanyahu said the operation came after Israel had agreed to an Egyptian proposal for a ceasefire and to Thursday's 5-hour humanitarian ceasefire. In both of these opportunities Hamas continued to fire, he said. Palestinian militants have used tunnels to carry out attacks, some of which have been thwarted by the Israeli military. On the morning of the ground offensive, the Israeli military intercepted 13 militants who had infiltrated Israel through a tunnel, and were believed to be planning to attack a nearby kibbutz. Some 267 Palestinians, 3/4 of them civilians, have died since the start of the wider Israeli operation on July 8, officials in Gaza say. 1 Israeli civilian has been killed by mortar fire and several Israelis have been seriously injured, Israeli medics say. Hamas spokesman Sami Abu Zuhri reacted defiantly to the Israeli offensive, declaring, Netanyahu is killing our children and will pay the price. The ground invasion doesn't frighten us and the occupation army will sink in Gaza's mud. Meanwhile, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, whose Fatah party recently agreed to a unity government with Hamas, has been holding talks in Cairo amid efforts to negotiate a truce. On Friday he met leaders of Islamic Jihad, the smaller militant faction in Gaza, and said he found the kind of acceptance of the peace initiative. Call for restraint. French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius is traveling to Egypt, Jordan and Israel as part of a diplomatic push to stop the fighting. On Thursday, Israel approved the drafting of 18,000 more reservists, bringing the number of extra troops called up since July 8 to 65,000. Israel says it has carried out more than 1,960 attacks on Gaza since July 8, while militants have fired some 1,380 rockets at Israel. It says more than 50 rockets have been fired at Israel since the ground operation began. The UN says at least 1,370 homes have been destroyed in Gaza and more than 18,000 people displaced in recent hostilities.